What's common between these two visuals? One is from the current farmers' protest and the other from before India was independent. While this decade has seen a couple of farmers' protests, India, a primarily agrarian economy, has seen many farmers' agitations in its history. One of the earliest examples of such a movement was the Champaran Satyagraha of 1917. Tenant farmers in Bihar's Champaran district protested against the oppressive policies of the British Raj that forced them to grow indigo. While this crop benefited the colonial traders, it left the farmers poor. In 1918, India had the Kheda Satyagraha in Gujarat. This protest was against the British government's oppressive policies for collecting land revenue during a year of famine and crop failure. The peasants of Kheda had suffered huge losses due to crop failure, plague and cholera outbreaks. However, the British conducted a land survey and compelled the peasants to pay land revenue. There was also the Bardoli movement in 1925 in response to the British government's 30% tax increase in Bardoli Taluka. The area had been hit by famine and floods and crop production was very low. Then we come to 1941, where we had the Kayur uprising, also known as the Kayur incident or Kayur revolt. The uprising was a political mobilization of peasants who had no tenancy rights and were severely repressed. The uprising began as a peaceful farmers' protest but turned violent when the mob accidentally killed a policeman. The British government responded by arresting many peasants, which led to widespread protests in the village. The Tebhaga movement was a peasant uprising in Bengal from 1946 to 47. The movement was a response to the sharecropping system in Bengal. Sharecroppers demanded 2/3 of the lands produced for themselves and 1/3 for the landlords. After independence, several regional farmer panels also cropped up. Among the most important ones were the Shetkari Sangathana in Maharashtra, Bharatiya Kisan Union in Uttar Pradesh and in Punjab, Bharatiya Kisan Sangh in Gujarat, Tamil Nadu Agriculturist Association or TVS, and the Karnataka State Farmers Association. The might of these organizations was on display during the 1959 protests in Punjab against the anti-betterment levy system. The protests were against the Punjab government's imposition of a betterment levy. The levy was intended to cover the expenses of the newly constructed Bhakra Canal system. The struggle concluded on March 22, 1951 with the government surrendering to the movement's demands. By the 1980s, movements that involved huge rural unions became more or less a thing of the past. Their common demands were now lower prices on inputs like seeds, fertilizers and pesticides, lower tariffs on electricity and water, abolition of land revenue and introduction of crop insurance. The farmers launched a massive strike in 1981 across the country raising these demands. In October 1988, around 5 lakh farmers from different villages of western UP had marched towards the national capital with their 35-point charter of demands and laid a siege on the boat club lawns. Farmers protested against the Rajiv Gandhi government, and political analysts say that the farmers' movement played a significant role in overthrowing of the Rajiv Gandhi government. Now we see similar protests happening in 2020 against the 3 farm laws that were eventually taken back. And now if we come to the present, in 2024, farmers are back on the streets to put pressure on the government to fulfill their long-standing demands.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today Newsmo.